Hello and welcome to another great episode of the Optimize Show. I am David Mammano, your host. Every week, I'm bringing you some incredible people that have done incredible things with their lives and their business in both helping you to be your best. These are best practices from best-in-class companies. I'm going to say best-in-class people. And what a great segue to interview my next guest, Jeff Knauss. Jeff, welcome to the Optimize Show.
David, thank you for having me. It's great to see you, buddy.
So excited. I met you many years ago when you were just an employee at a company and you had some entrepreneurial dreams. And look at you now, right?
Still much worse off. You're right.
Incredible things. Incredible things. I met you at Norma Holland, right? I think I ran into you at a conference. That's when I first met you. And you were, I believe you were a sales rep for Channel 13 here in Rochester, correct?
You got it. Yep. Sales rep at Channel 13. I did that for about, I want to say 5 years and got the privilege to work with our wonderful friend, Norma Holland. It was a great, great time in my life.
Yeah, awesome. So let's back up there. So, let's start there, I should say. So you're a sales rep, but you have an idea to start an advertising agency, we'll say, which at that time is now more known as a digital marketing company. And you started a company, a very successful company called Digital Hive. So tell us about how did that happen? What was going through your head and what were some of the first steps?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I never had a huge entrepreneurial dream because I didn't have any business mentorship growing up. My folks both worked, very blue collar jobs. My dad was a town highway guy for 30 plus years. My mom worked in various positions. And so, I grew up in a small town. So there just wasn't a lot of entrepreneurship there. But after being in the television world, what I really wanted to pursue was digital marketing. I think all marketing has its place and can work. And it's all about return on investment. But as I saw the television world progress, and with streaming and OTT and all these other options coming up, I said, "Gosh, there's a lot of accountability happening in marketing, and to be able to take my career and move it more in the digital world would be really exciting." The challenge was being in the corporate television world. The only way to get more into digital, to stay in that kind of corporate living would be to take a step back. I had taken a job. That's how I moved to Syracuse. I took a job as an advertising manager and worked for NBC, CBS, and affiliate out in Syracuse. And the only way to really do the digital marketing thing would be to take a digital marketing manager role, which was a slightly lower role than what I had. And so I felt like it would have been taking a step back. I mean, my future business partner at a conference, similar to how I met you, and just networking and talking to people, stayed in touch with them for a few years. And all of a sudden, it kind of dawned on me. I was like, what if I did it myself? Why do I need to have a company behind me? If I have this brilliant guy that I met, he knew digital marketing inside out, knew how to build websites, he knew SEO and paid advertising and all these things. I was like, what if we joined forces? I know a lot of people. He knows how to do this stuff, and started a company. And that's kind of the origin story of Digital Hive.
So you started Digital Hive in Syracuse, also had a great division in Rochester.
Yes, sir.
And I already know why, but I want you to tell everybody, where did the name Digital Hive come from? It's a great story.
Yeah, well, when we were first starting, like every other person that starts a company, you're really scratching your head like, what do we call this thing? And for as great of a marketing guy as my partner was, he had maybe the worst business name of all time. It was CNY Marketer, Central New York Marketer. And I was like, one caveat of me starting a business with you is we got to get rid of that name. And so we were talking and we were brainstorming and I turned to my wife and I said, what if I put a Finnish word in there? It's always good to get brownie points with the wife. My wife is from Finland. She grew up in Finland, moved here from Finland to be with me, which I still don't quite understand her rationale there. But I was like, what if we put a Finnish word in there? So I started thinking, the name was Digital Hive, Hyve, and Hyve actually is pronounced Hyve in Finnish, which means virtue. And we wanted to be a virtuous digital marketing company. The reason was because there's a lot of, at the time when we started, there were a lot of people that did digital marketing. But because most business owners knew that they needed some help with social media advertising and Google ads and things like that, but they didn't really understand themselves, people were being taken advantage of. People were being charged exorbitant prices for services that weren't always great, weren't getting the return on investment they probably should. And so first and foremost, when we started the company, we wanted to, always be transparent. We always want to do the right thing for our clients, even if that meant we weren't the right fit for them, because we thought, in the long run, if we always are virtuous, if we always do the right thing, if we always work hard for our clients and generate a return on investment, that'll work out for us in the end, and it'll be the best thing for the clients. And that's what ended up happening. So high achieving.
So successful company and massive brownie points with the wife, which is very important. So
win-win, buddy.
Win-win. That's excellent. So Digital High became very successful, and you ran that company for a number of years, and then you decided it was time to move on. Now, which is interesting because you could have continued. You were very successful, doing some great work, a lot of accolades, awards, et cetera. I'm sure the compensation was great for you and your partner, et cetera. You could have just continued to build that. But you got to a point where you were like, I'm ready to move on. Like, what was that all about? What made you say, like, you know what? I'm going to pull a Seinfeld and, go out on top and try something new.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, when we first started the company, I mean, almost from day one, Jake and I had the same vision of building, scaling, selling. We had read a book called Built to Sell very early on in Digital Hive's life cycle. And I would advise anyone that's building a company to read Built to Sell, not because they necessarily want to sell their company, but because it helps to understand the principles of how to build a company that can be sold. Because ultimately, even if you don't sell the company, it's a company that can run on its own. And so often that's the major problem with founders, is that they build a company and it turns into a lifestyle business for them because they are the ones that are in the business. If they run a service-based business, the founders are every client's asking for the founder. They won't work with the account manager you hired or the salesperson you hired or the execution person you hired. They want to work with the founder, which ultimately is a prohibitor to being able to scale the business beyond themselves. And so, that was never really attractive to us. By the way, nothing wrong with a lifestyle business if that's what you choose to do. There's many lifestyle businesses where people are making, tons of money, tons of flexibility in their calendar, and lots of people live successful lives running lifestyle companies. It just wasn't the choice that Jake and I wanted to make from the beginning. And I think that's a really important part for people, starting with the end in mind and reverse engineering what do they want out of their company is super critical. And I think it's a step that's easily missed, especially the first-time entrepreneurs, because they may not know, right? They've never done it before. We were just lucky that, Jake and I just had lots of aspirations to do lots of different things through our life and had chosen the path of let's build something that can be sellable. And so, after 7 years of running it, to your point, it was very successful. We were very, very fortunate. In 2018, we were named the 52nd fastest private growing company in the country on the Inc. 5000 list. So in the top 1%, we were, I think, fifth fastest growing marketing and advertising company in the country. We were 5 times Inc. 5000 winners, had, lots of stories and all this stuff. So it was really great. I was really proud of the team we built. And we were just ready. We were, Jake and I both knew that, I had young kids. Jake had already started, a couple other businesses while Digital Hive was going. He started this really successful e-commerce, hobbyist gaming store kind of thing. And so we both had other things we wanted to do. The biggest evolution to it was that we recognized that the thing that really led us to our success was building this amazing team. These employees, these humans that were so talented and so smart. It wasn't the Jake and Jeff show anymore, which is how you scale a company, right? It was our team's show. And so we wanted to kind of honor them. And our goal was actually the ESOP, which was to become an employee-owned company. And so we went down the process. We were actually, in March 2020, when COVID really broke out, we announced to the company that for about a year prior to that, we had been investigating how to become an ESOP, because we wanted everyone to understand from day one of COVID that we were not going to lay anyone off because you were our business, right? We wanted to make sure that gave them the safety and security to know that no matter what came, you were the people were the last thing that we were going to cut. We cut everything else, but people were the last thing we were cut. I was really proud. We did not have any layoffs, even though we were down 60, 70% some months in COVID. We did not lay anybody off. because our values were our crew comes first. And so because we felt that way, we were going to ESOP, and which basically meant that the employees would own the company without having to put any money in. It's a really incredible thing. Happy to talk more about it if interesting. But even better than that was Butler Till, which was an ad agency in Rochester, a much larger agency than us. We had 56 full-time employees. They had 300. I was talking to the CEO and telling her about our ESOP plans. They had been in ESOP for many years. And I said to her, this is really exciting. How was your experience? She's like, it's amazing. The ownership, the employees, they're all in on it. We've done it for about 11, 12 years now. Best thing we could ever done. I said, awesome. Can't wait for us to be able to do it. She's like, well, one easier way than that is just for us to buy you. And so from day one after the sale, our employees became employee owners of Digital Hive, Butler Till, and the real estate company that Butler Till was part of. So every single Digital Hive employee, their compensation went up dramatically just because we made the sale. So it was a win-win all the way around.
That's fantastic. And it's so you. I know that you would never abandon your team to make an extra buck. So total win-win, and that's the integrity that you bring to the table, and that's why everybody loves you, Jeff. So.
Well, I don't know about that, but I will say thank you.
I've been trying to find at least one person that doesn't like you, and so far it's been a lost cause. So,
oh, gosh, you just need to hang out with me, every day. You'll see a bunch of them.
Just start naming more things after Finnish words. You'll be fine. That's
it. Well, that's it. That's right.
So you sold, and you probably took a deep breath for a little while, relaxed, more family time. But of course. Yeah, I'm guessing you got a little restless and had some more ideas to pursue. And one of those was an incredible mastermind group that you have started. It's been about, I think, 3 years now, right? 2.5, 3 years. It's called Profound. And tell us about Profound. Why is it different and unique than other masterminds out there? I know you always like to have a little unique advantage to things, right? Unique competitive advantage, we'll say.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think it comes from down to need and filling a need that I saw. The quick story behind that is after I sold DH, you're right. I felt that. So when I grew up in my family, we had very little money. And so my folks didn't like their work. In fact, they hated their work. And so I grew up thinking that work was the enemy, something that I was supposed to escape. So I always wanted to build something early on and retire early. That was always my dream, was, build something and sell it and make a bunch of money in that, and then I'd be out. Well, so often when your dreams come true, you realize this wasn't, necessarily what I imagined. And so,
and you were young too. How old were you when you sold?
Yeah, I was 35 when I sold Digital Hive. And so, so when I did that, and I actually went off to Finland. I was still working at Digital Hive Butler Till. I stayed on for about 5 months after the sale just to help with the transition and things like that. And then December 31st, I was going to be done officially. So I was still actually at Digital Hive, but I took a 2-3 week vacation to go to see my wife's family. And while I was there, I just got super anxious. I mean, I had an existential crisis of epic proportions around, who am I? If I'm not Jeff from Digital Hive, what does that mean? And it came to the realization that work was not the enemy. I actually really enjoy, building things, and I find a lot of fulfillment in it, And so after working with my business coach and talking through kind of next steps with her, she ran me through an exercise which I'd advise everyone to do in their life, whether they're an entrepreneur or not. She said, look, what do you love about your professional life? Let's make a list of all the things that you really enjoy in your working career, or have enjoyed in your working career. And I said, cool. I said, I love connecting people. I love meeting new people. I love creating experiences for people. I love adding value to the world and the community. I love our community. I love upstate New York. Like, I just went through this list of all this stuff. And she said, great. Well, how do you start a business to do all those things? I said, that's a really fascinating way to build something off of the things you love, And so I looked at it and I said, well, it kind of reminds me of this mastermind group that I was a part of. I had joined this mastermind group called War Room, and it was a nationwide mastermind group. We'd meet in all these beautiful locations. talk to all these incredible entrepreneurs doing amazing things. We'd stay at the Four Seasons in California, and we'd do all this. We'd go to Mexico together, be on yachts. It was amazing, right? Incredible experiences with incredible people. And I really loved it. And every time I'd come back energized, I'd have a million ideas for the team and the digital hive and all this stuff. And I said to myself, why doesn't that exist in upstate New York? And I also found that the flaw in it was I'd go and meet all these people, but then next week I'd be like, hey, I got a question, but I couldn't go grab a coffee with them, right? And so I said, well, why doesn't that exist here? And it does in pockets, right? There's great organizations like the Chamber that does, great events, and there's, tip clubs and all kinds of stuff that exist. And those organizations fill a great purpose. Coming from the experience I did with my mastermind, I said, I think there's a different way to approach this, to build deep relationships with people that isn't networking. That the first thing you do is not give someone your business card. It's about meeting the person and understanding the person and getting to know them deeply. We say we like to learn about who you are before what you do, right? And so that's how we created Profound, and Profound has been really, really fulfilling. We have 100 members in our group. We cap it at 100 for the past, 2.5 years. We've had over 500 applications, and we keep it at 100 members. I think that's a good amount of people. It's small enough that you can really get to know people intimately. It's big enough that you don't, it takes a year to really do that. And we have incredible events. Our last event, we were in Miami. We flew everybody down. We put everybody up at a 4-star hotel. We stayed at one of my co-founders' penthouses. He has the largest penthouse in Miami. It's 20,000 square feet. Everybody got to hang out there for a couple of days and had great food, great speakers. So our kind of mission is to deliver great content, create amazing experiences, and really help ourselves level up, help each other level up, and help our community grow. And that third aspect is super important, because we're all from upstate New York. We have similar goals. We want to enhance the place that we live, not just for ourselves, but for the folks that don't have it as amazing as we do. We created a foundation, the Profound Foundation, where we actually gift. This year we'll probably donate over $60,000 to the community, the local not-for-profits in upstate New York. We just did an event with the Boys and Girls Club where we gave over 100 laptops to young kids and helped them build one-page business plans. And so it's a holistic way to look at how can we build a community that is stronger because we're together. That's the idea behind it.
It's incredible. And I know you don't sleep. I mean, people say that, when do you sleep? But I know that you actually don't sleep, right? Like 3 hours.
Yeah.
You're one of those guys, right?
Unfortunately am. And I it gets brought up a lot because I've been doing it since I was a kid. My mom always joked that I was on Korea time still. I was adopted. And so that's why I never slept when I was a kid. And it just kind of transited into this day, which gives me a great advantage because I work 2 days. I work, my normal work day. I spend my time with my family at night, dinner and, watching TV at night and stuff like that. And then everybody goes to bed and I work another day. So I think that's...
See, I'm the opposite. I take like 3-hour naps during the,
to be honest, I don't hate a nap. I think that's how I get through it. I may only sleep 3-4 hours a night, but I certainly take naps religiously, and that works for me.
Yeah. No, hey, a lot of incredible people from history are famous for taking at least a 20-minute nap in the middle of the day, right? They get a second wind, so that's great. So Profound, that's excellent. Digital Hive, that's excellent. You're also you are with Adam. You talked about your business partner and some other people. You're doing some great things as far as I'll say optimizing your town, Skaneateles, New York, which is a beautiful. Is it a town or a city? What am I going to call it?
It's a town and a village.
It's a town and a village. Yeah. In New York State, we have I think Canandaigua, there's like a city, town, and a village or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes.
So Skaneateles, which is one of the most beautiful areas, not only in New York State, but in the country. It's a lot of famous people will go vacation there. I know Hillary Clinton was famous for doing some visits there. It's a gorgeous place. It's one of the most quaint, New York State towns that you'll ever see. It's right on Skaneateles Lake. So you've chosen to making that your home. And you've also chosen to bring it to the next level. So tell us a little bit about how you're doing that in Skaneateles.
Yeah, I think similarly to what I talked about with Profound, I just want to continue to raise up the communities that we live in. And if I've been given the privilege to have the position, the dollars, the power to be able to make change, I want to do that. And so I've been very fortunate. You mentioned Adam. His name's Adam Weitzman. He's one of my business partners, a very successful entrepreneur, huge philanthropist. He really has made it his mission. He loves the restaurant industry, which boggles my mind, because now that I'm in it with a few of them, it's a tough business to be in. I don't think there's no mistaking about that. But it is a important part of any community to give people a place to, work, to entertain themselves, and to eat. It's critical. And so what we've done is, starting with him, really, I give him a lot of credit, because he started the Krebs, which is a fantastic restaurant, high-end restaurant that they took over. It's been around since the 1800s, completely renovated it, made it new again. And it's a phenomenal place in Skaneateles. They also started a place called Elephant and Dove, which is a Mexican restaurant. All the profits for all the restaurants go towards women and children, not for profit. So all in our community. So they're restaurants. They're hard to run businesses, but every single dollar of profit goes to these awesome charities.
I didn't know that part. I didn't know that all the profits go to charities. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, no, he started with him and his wife, Kim, started with this mission, and it's really incredible. And so we've continued that with a diner called Clover's. We opened that probably about a year ago now, maybe a little over a year ago. One of the cool story with that was there was only one diner in Skaneateles. It was a little outside of town. And the diner got sold, the building got sold. And so the diner was going out of business, and it's been around for 50 years. So there were women that worked there 40 years and were going to be out of work. And so kind of took the initiative to say, well, Skaneateles needs a diner. Can't have a town village without a diner, right? And so we took over one of the old restaurants there. It was a burger place before, completely renovated it down to the studs, started up all new equipment, and started up a diner called Clover's. And we actually took all the staff members from the old diner, and now they're working at Clover's. And we actually took two of them who had worked there 20 and 30 years respectively, and they're now our equity partners in the business as well. So now they have a piece of the business too. And so that's been a great success. It's really a community hub. Everybody in Skaneateles is kind of always meets up there, as a diner does, to attract, the community. And we're also on the cusp of opening a sushi place. That's been in the works for about 2.5 years. Really excited, about a month away, which is awesome from opening, and really excited for that. It's what I'm calling an elevated sushi experience. If people are familiar with Skaneateles, there's no sushi in Skaneateles, which is wild. And if you want to go, there's places around, but they're more typical sushi places. They're good, but they're very typical of upstate New York sushi places. We did a nationwide search to find our executive chef. He's phenomenal, comes with a really good, esteemed background. We have some we're bringing in the freshest ingredients, the best ingredients, and we're going to, do it all at an affordable price. So, we're really excited for the sushi place to open as well.
And all the sushi is taken out of Skaneateles Lake. Is that right? Is that where
the creek, actually, right behind? We're right on the creek. And so it's me, I fish every day. Whatever comes up, that's what you get,
I thought it was tuna, but it tastes like rainbow trout. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's the rainbow roll. That's what we call it.
There we go. I love it. I can't wait to try that. A life I don't want to say life well lived, life well living, because you guys you and Adam, et cetera, doing some great best practices on not only how to be successful for yourselves, but also how to take that success and spread it to others as you continue to be successful. So really, really exciting. Now, I also want to talk about your family. So we talked about quickly your lovely wife from Finland. You have two beautiful kids that I love following you on Facebook and watching them grow up, and they're so darn cute. But you've really made a priority. We went to lunch at Clover's about a month ago, and you told me that you have some best practices for your family to make sure that you continue to not only stabilize, but continue to build your relationship with your wife and your family. It's already great, and you're continuing to try to make it even more outstanding. So tell us some of the practices of how you do that, because I found that very admirable.
Well, thank you, my friend. That's very kind. And it is the most important part of my life. Without them, none of this matters. And I mean that truly. I was just telling my wife last night, I wanted to be a dad since I was a kid. So I don't know what that is, DNA or whatever. But so now that I am, and I've been so lucky to have these wonderful kids and an amazing wife, I'm not going to waste that, right? I get that question often. And I understand it because before, even while I was at Digital Hive, I'd look at people and I'd be like, wow, you're running a bunch of different companies, you're doing all this stuff. You're always, how do you find time to do X, Y, and Z? How do you find time to be a dad? How do you find, and I'll tell you right now, I'm running 4 companies. I'm on a publicly listed board of directors, a couple not-for-profit boards of directors. I have a family foundation. I do all this stuff. I'm an angel investor. I've invested in a lot of companies, so I do some advisory work for them. And I would say that, I coach both of my kids' soccer teams, and I'm very present with my children. Every weekend, take my son out and daughter now to snowboarding. And I think that like, it would have puzzled me, maybe 10 years ago, like, how can you do all this? And the reality is, I'm sure you've heard the phrase simple but hard, right? It's incredibly simple. Because all it really comes down to is decision-making around your time. Our life is full of, the only thing that creates a life is how you, very specifically, very intentionally choose to spend your time. Everything is a decision. And I think that's the most freeing thing that anyone ever taught me, was that every single person in the world has 24 hours in their day. It's the great equalizer, right? And so ultimately, the most successful person in the world and the person struggling the most in the world, they have the same amount of time. Now, they don't have the same privileges. I do want to be clear that, something very important to me, being adopted from Korea and from a very bad situation, equity and where we start in the world is not equal, right? So that first and foremost is important to understand. And when you have the privilege of that I did, maybe I didn't have much money, but I had 2 loving parents, so I had a head start in life. When you have some of the privileges that you do in the world, you have to do what you got to play the cards you're dealt. And so ultimately, I think it really dives into, and we're on the Optimize show, how do you optimize your time? And so for me, even in Digital Hive, when it was, I'm telling you, the old stereotype of the entrepreneur that spends 80, 100 hours a week on their business, that was me. And again, I didn't sleep, so I was able to do that pretty easily. And this was 7 days a week. It's not, I always laugh when people are like, I want to be my own boss and, I want to set my own hours. I'm like, well, you're great. You're going to go from a 40-hour-a-week job to a 100-hour-a-week job if you want to start a company. But at least you're making that choice to do that. For me, how I've done that is I very purposely, I alluded to this earlier, I spend my working days when everyone else is working, in meetings and conversations like this and doing all the things you need to do to run a business. But when it comes to, 5:30, 6 o'clock, when my kids are home and we're about to have dinner, I'm off like that. I make the decision that time every day without fail, that's my time with my family. So from that time until about 11 o'clock when my wife goes to bed, we'll watch shows and stuff when my kids go to bed. We spend quality time there. I don't work. And then from 11 o'clock until 2 or 3 in the morning, then I'll start to work again. It's no different than deciding to go to the gym, right? Like if you want to go to the gym, you have to set time. Like I'm a 7-day-a-week guy. I work out at home. I don't go to the gym, but 7 days a week I work out, because if I don't and I get out of practice, I'll skip for 6 months. It's not a day. I don't skip for a day or 3 days. I'll just stop because I'm out of routine. And so I think so much of this can be really simple. It's just incredibly hard because it's easy to make excuses. Oh, I don't feel good today, so I'm not going to go to the gym. Oh, I got this really important client meeting, so I'm going to do this thing. And yes, there's exceptions to everything. Yes, you can always, but the more that you make excuses, the easier it becomes to to get out of your routine. And we are animals. We find it, incredibly difficult to, if it's not something we regularly do, it's very hard to stay consistent. And the only way to find long-term success is to be consistent in the work that you're doing.
I love it. Jeff, thank you so much. I think I covered everything. I mean, no, I didn't. Thank God I have my notes here. You are on the cusp of something new. You were calling it NewCo. You're starting to say, like, I'm starting to talk about it a little bit. What can you tell us about the next great adventure?
Yeah. Well, I kind of thought having the diversity of all these amazing things would be, kind of my life for at least a while. It's been 2 years since I sold Digital Hive, and I don't know whether it's me self-propelling into wanting to get back into the world of startup, or if it's just the right time, right opportunity. I can't pass it up. But I have developed a new business that I'm just kind of in the very early stages of. I have my, all the legal paperwork done. I have my logo, my brand guidelines. I'm starting to, I'm about to hire my first few employees. I'm really close to it, actually. We're going to probably get started in Q1 of 2024. But this business, which funny enough is a Finnish word, it's called Open, OPIN, and it means I learned in Finnish. And it's going to be an amalgamation of all the things I've done throughout my career. It's media, it's marketing, it's it's community, and with the idea of taking some of the world's best, and I mean really some incredible people, and creating content around how have they done what they've done. Because I think that a lot of times, the barriers to success can be exposure. It can be awareness, a lack of understanding of seeing people and seeing them. Oh, wow, you've been really successful, but how did you do that? And you can find stuff that's very surface level and, oh, I worked hard and blah, blah, but like, no, how did you do it? So I want to really break it down deeply and help educate people on how people have created and optimized such a great life for themselves, both professionally and personally. I want to dive into that. I want to create community of people that are looking to do the same thing, and because I think it's one thing to sit and passively watch content. But I think the learning really locks in when you talk about it with others. And so how do we create a community that locks that information in? And then I want to create live experiences with those people to be able to interact with them, to ask them questions afterwards, right? Because you can watch something and then have questions and talk to other people, but it's a different thing to talk about, that thing to the person that actually is teaching it. And so it's kind of, again, it's taking all those things that I've done in the past life and bringing them together. And I'm really excited for it. I actually think, after looking at it and studying the business, and I think it'll probably be more than 10x what Digital Hive ever was. And so it's kind of my next step into leveling up myself and my own personal goals and experiences, and creating even more fun opportunities for myself. So,
I think that is the perfect next step for you. I'm so excited, and I'm excited to dive into it any way I can and learn. Open. See,
Open.
Now I know 2 Finnish words. So there we go.
I know. That's right.
I'm a very fast learner, so thank you.
Well, that's all I'm really trying to do is educate the world in how to speak Finnish. I'm going to start enough companies. We're going to get through the alphabet or the dictionary.
The ultimate goal is you're teaching everybody Finnish by the end of your career.
That's it. That's really the only thing.
That is super fantastic. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have so much on your plate, and you're about to put something, another big thing on your plate. I don't know if you ever take anything off your plate. We took Digital Hive, so okay. But your plate is very full, and so thank you so much for sharing some heartbeats with me today and with the Optimize audience. And we truly appreciate your sharing your nuggets of wisdom and how you're optimizing your life, your family, business, your community. It's all around optimization. So thank you for doing everything that you're doing.
Thank you, brother. And thank you for doing all you do, man. Like you're bringing these great stories to the world. You're such a great guy to talk to every time I get a chance to chat with you. And I always walk away feeling inspired. So thanks a lot for your time.
Appreciate that. We have to make our lunches more semi-annual. So
Couldn't agree more.
excellent. Well, Jeff Knauss, thank you so much. Jeff, people want to reach out to you. What's the best way to do it?
Emails, very easy. hi@jeffknaus.com. LinkedIn, all the normal social channels. I'm an open book and happy to chat with anybody anytime.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jeff. Truly appreciate it. Also want to thank you, the Optimize audience, the Optimize family, I should say. Appreciate you being here every Wednesday morning for us. Find us on YouTube. Spread the good word. Like us, subscribe. We also have a podcast edition of this on Spotify. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day and make sure to stay awesome.